up on DC News Now. No Kings rallies planned across the country. We take you inside one happening right here in the district. Then a Prince George's County man will spend life in prison for killing a Greenbelt teacher.
We have a collective responsibility to do justice.
How the community continues to remember her. Also, a Halloween prank turned terrifying in Alexandria after 3 masked men knocked on a family's door, threatening harm and demanding entry.
Open up the door!
What the family is saying. Gorgeous start to the weekend. Meteorologist Brittany Ward lets us know the next time we could see rain.
You're watching the station covering all of the DMV. This is DC News Now.
And thank you for joining us for DC News Now. I'm Mark Hall. Annalisa Gale has the night off. You're taking a live look right now at the Key Bridge in Roslyn. Another closure this afternoon ahead of the commute home on this Friday, and they're blocked for Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky's visit with President Trump. We're going to continue to keep you updated through the hour. All right, let's head over to meteorologist Brittany Ward with the first look at our forecast. Brittany, the sun is shining. Maybe that would at least brighten the experience for those caught up in that traffic jam.
Yeah, you know what, Mark, TGIF, we finally made it to the end of the work week. It's not going to be bad, especially as we head into your Friday night. Still going to be holding on to those quiet conditions, partly cloudy skies. That's what we're going to be seeing as we head into the overnight hours. But at least for the most part, we are still holding on to those dry conditions. So a live look outside out towards the Roslyn skyline. Wall-to-wall sunshine was seen throughout your entire day today, but those temperatures, they were on the cooler side. We really struggled to get out of the 60s across much of the area. Heading home from work right now, still seeing 60s at this hour. 66 currently in DC, 67 as you head over there to Fredericksburg, Virginia. Back off to the north and west, still holding on to the 60s. 65 currently there in Hagerstown. 67 as you head over there to Cumberland. So throughout the rest of your evening commute, we're going to be holding on to the 60s throughout that 6 o'clock hour, but about 8 o'clock tonight, that's when we start to see those temperatures begin to dip down into the 50s. Still going to be holding on to mostly clear skies. It's heading through the second half of our evening into the overnight hours. That's when we start to see a few clouds begin to roll their way in. Still going to be dry, and it looks like we're tracking those dry conditions for the first half of our weekend, but rain to end it out. So keep it here. We'll have a full breakdown of that forecast, Mark, up next.
All right, thank you so much, Brittany. Happening now on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, a kickoff to the No Kings weekend. Organizers say it's an effort of weekend protest in defense of American democracy. DC News Now's Daniel Hamburg joins us now live with the latest. Daniel, I assume that the protest is starting to pick up.
Yeah, Mark, we have been hearing from many different people today, several people giving speeches. Right now, we're on a bit of a break, as you might be able to hear some music behind me. But take a look. There are protesters here from all over the country at this kickoff event for that No Kings weekend, hosted by 5051 and Eagle Group Indivisible. We had veterans, public servants, activists speaking today. We can tell you, of course, people have traveled just for this. Some people who have been to many of these No Kings rallies throughout the country. We know they're in lots of different communities. One of the women we talked with is from Hawaii. Here's what she had to say about why she is here today, in her words, defending democracy.
Because what's going on with the current administration is destroying our country and not paying any attention to our Constitution, which is one of the most important documents that we've had.
And so back out here live at the Lincoln Memorial, this event, this kickoff to the whole weekend, goes until 7 p.m. Tomorrow morning at 9:30 is when the major events start happening. Speeches at 9:30 in the morning at the Reeves Center at the corner of 14th and U Streets. There will be a march down to 3rd and Pennsylvania, where there will be a massive rally there as well. So we are expecting a lot of people here in DC tomorrow. So if you are out and about, keep an eye out for some of these road closures that are going to be going into effect throughout the day as well. But for now, we're live at the Lincoln Memorial. Daniel Hamburg, DC News Now.
All right, Daniel, thank you so very much. And former National Security Advisor John Bolton was in court today facing after being indicted. Now, the news cameras spotted him leaving his Maryland home around 8 this morning before turning himself in a Maryland courthouse. Bolton faces federal charges. He's accused of sharing and keeping classified national defense information. If convicted, he faces up to 10 years in prison for each count. And a Maryland man will serve the rest of his life behind bars after killing a beloved teacher in 2023. Harold London III was convicted of first-degree murder back in June. DC News Now's Mariel Carbone has more from the Prince George's County Courthouse.
The judge in this case calling this crime heinous. Now, Landon was not only convicted of murdering Miriam Sela, but of dismembering her body. And because of that, the judge sentenced him to life in prison, no parole.
Ms. Sela was an educator, a trusted member of our community, a teacher.
And now the man who murdered her will spend the rest of his life behind bars.
Violence has to have the harshest of consequences.
Friday, a Prince George's County judge sentencing Harold Landon III to life, no parole. He was convicted in June of murdering beloved second-grade teacher Miriam Torrey Sela.
She was a peaceful person, and unfortunately, tragedy fell upon her.
Officials say the two were strangers and encountered each other while Sela was on her daily walk at Shoreham Hills Park on July 29, 2023. When she didn't return home that night, she was reported missing. Search parties were organized almost immediately, and days later, her partial remains were found dumped in a pond in Clinton after a tip from a community member.
It was premeditated, it was calculating before, during, and after.
An attorney for Landon stated the Greenbelt man was using PCP, Percocets, and alcohol at the time, and that he couldn't recall what happened. He also pointed to an abusive childhood.
That the judge was clear that this wasn't something that he did out of some type of PCP rage or something like that, but he did this because he wanted to.
Prosecutors read from a letter written by Sela's son in court. He said the murder of his mother still haunts him. And prosecutors say that there is still an open investigation into this case right now because only partial remains of Sela have been recovered. Reporting from the Prince George's County Courthouse, I'm Mariel Carbone, DC News Now.
All right, Mariel, thank you. Montgomery County school leaders are apologizing after Sherwood High School's senior T-shirt design included lettering that looked like a racial slur. The shirts were meant to celebrate the class of 2026, but the district calls it unacceptable. MCPS has launched an investigation. It's also collecting the shirts and will retake the senior photo. Officials say that this isn't the first incident, pointing to past cases of racist language and even a noose found on school grounds. Well, it was a debate last night for Virginia's Attorney General race, where Republican incumbent Jason Miyares and Democrat Jay Jones had their one and only face-off. Now, throughout the debate, Miyares repeatedly brought up the text and a reckless driving conviction, but he mainly focused on his track record as Attorney General, bringing violent crime down and lowering drug deaths. On the other side, Jones focused on Miyares' allegiance to President Trump. It's a similar connection Democrats across the board are drawing, arguing that Miyares hasn't taken the president to court over federal job losses and tariffs impacting Virginians.
I do think both candidates were pretty effective in talking about the issues that they wanted to talk about. Jay Jones consistently talked about the Trump administration and tried to convince voters that they should look beyond the texting scandal. The Republicans, in contrast, are very much focused on the text scandal. That was a big, big issue that has dominated the political conversation in Virginia for 2 weeks, and it looks like we'll be headed into week 3.
Well, polling from Decision Desk HQ shows that Jones and Miyares are tied at just over 46%. Farnsworth says that he wouldn't be surprised if some Democrats vote for governor and lieutenant governor, but leave the AG race blank on ballots. Well, the government shutdown is dragged into day 17 with no end in sight. Democrats and Republicans are both raising concerns about the impact on federal employees and troops, ramping up pressure on leaders of the opposing party to give in on their demands. Well, Thursday, Senate Democrats also rejecting a standalone bill to fund the nation's defense and pay troops. Right now, both parties at a stalemate as the another vote fails for the 11th time. Republicans and Democrats weighing today with no end in sight to the shutdown.
These threats to try to back us off our position, it's not working and it's not going to happen. because there is a Republican healthcare crisis that is devastating the American people, and we're going to continue to stand up for everyday Americans.
Is that all the Democrats who are so angry that they don't control the government are the same people who have decided to shut it down and hand the keys to President Trump.
Well, this is the third longest shutdown in modern history. And for continuing coverage and also information on available resources and to see how local officials are responding, head to our website, dcnewsnow.com. In sports this weekend, the Washington Commanders are getting ready for an NFC East showdown with the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday, and will once again be without their star wide receiver Terry McLaurin. On Wednesday, head coach Dan Quinn said that McLaurin would practice all week. However, after being limited Wednesday, McLaurin did not practice Thursday. Quinn spoke today on the progress of his star receiver as he continues to try and get back on the field.
An injury like this, this is a speed player, and so on movements where you're jogging or not, fully there, it's just not ready yet. And that sometimes happens, when you have a soft tissue injury and you want it to get there, but you have to push it at the top speeds. And so sometimes, John, that's an acceleration. Sometimes it's decel, how hard you have to plant and turn. So, like I said, he's working at hard. He's frustrated, but we're closer.
Well, more concerns. Eyes are now on wide receiver Deebo Samuel, who's been dealing with a heel injury in the last couple of weeks. He's currently questionable for the game.